Hello everybody, what a wonderful night we're having, right?
Caitlin, very good. Now where are you from? Although we've got you coming from one place, where did you grow up?
I'm from what they call the dirty south of Invercargill. I was born and bred there and I've never left. Southland's a great place to grow up. It's got a fantastic schooling environment and a great place to grow up being quite rural. My family had a holiday home about an hour and a half from Invercargill, so you know, while a lot of people don't think Invercargill has a lot to offer, it's close to everything. So you know, you've got this great Monday to Friday life where you've got a great school, you've got, you know, all these great sporting communities, and then in the weekends you can go off and do whatever in Central Otago, or you could go to Te Anau or Milford Sound. We've got so much to offer and I'm so passionate to be from Southland.
There you go. Well, I can agree with that. I was there on Tuesday and they're the most hospitable people that you will find. That's true.
That's good to hear. I'm not surprised.
Now, did you live in Gore for a while, did you?
No, the program would have you believe I was born there, but it was actually Dad that was born there.
Okay.
I was born in Invercargill, but my grandfather lived in Waikaia, which is just out of Gore, so we did spend a fair bit of time visiting him and spending time with family in Waikaia.
I have to ask, because you're not rolling your R's, are you?
I'm not doing it on purpose.
No, you're not. You're definitely not. So tell us about your Irish connections.
Well, the Mahon family name comes from Galway, but my great-grandfather was born in Dublin. He immigrated here in 1924. He was nominated by his mother. His name was James Thomas Mahon, and his son was my grandfather, James Henry Mahon. When I was researching my family to find out more about my connections, I read the Mahon family history book, which was written by my grandfather's brother. And the really cool thing about the book is how it came to be. So they wrote a lot of stories about who they were, being my grandfather and his brothers, and their father's story. And then they went travelling. And so they went to Ireland and they were standing outside a house in Dublin and having a good look, and a lady comes out and she goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" And they said, "Oh, our father grew up here." And she said, "Well, you better come in and have some tea then." And so they got the grand tour of Dublin from her, and as it turned out, my great-grandfather was one of a second lot of children from his father, and the first lot actually immigrated to the States. In Canada. So Granddad and his brothers went to Canada, and I'm not sure how I'm related to this person, but they are a relative, and they married into a Native American Indian tribe, and so my granddad and his brothers got to have a dinner with them, which I just cannot imagine.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so very interesting reading this book, and I'm very privileged to have all of the information that I do. There's so much information about how my grandfather grew up and his brothers and his sisters. And on another side of my family, on my mother's side, I don't actually have that recent history of how they came to be in New Zealand. And so I'm very lucky to have that book, and it's something that I will treasure and read to my children and hope that they carry it forward.
Very good. Now tell us what you do for your day job. You're an accountant, aren't you?
Yeah, wait for it. It's very exciting. I'm an accountant. I've always been very good with numbers, and to my parents' great surprise, I did choose accounting. I also loved English and art at school, but for me, that was a hobby, and I didn't want to make it a job. I didn't want to become sick of that. I wanted to be able to do that in my spare time. And I do that in my spare time, but a lot of people in here that aren't accountants might think that I just go to work from 8 till 5 and I just punch on a calculator all day, but I don't. So what I love about my job, and I've been very fortunate falling into the right areas of my job, is that I can help people. So I'm aware that maths isn't everybody's forte, and in some ways to other people's horror is my pleasure, and I'm pleased that I can help people, young entrepreneurs who don't understand the maths behind things, and I can give them advice on how they should start up a business or run their business. I'm very privileged to be involved with a charitable trust in Southland, and they provide outdoor recreational facilities. And I actually went to camp when I was 14 years old to this place. So having been there and now getting an involvement on how they can run their business effectively to maximise the facilities that they provide to children and other sporting and community groups it's quite humbling, and I never thought about that at the age of 14. I just went to camp and I've got to sleep in a sleeping bag, and but it's actually awesome, and it's also helping what we call our little old ladies who just don't know how to file a tax return.
What's your career aspiration? Having built this based in the profession, what's your career aspiration?
Well, I'm at the start of a new chapter. So when I left school and I went straight into a traineeship, which meant that I did my degree through the Southern Institute of Technology, and my firm, who I work for, paid me to go to lectures for 4 years, and then I graduated, and for the last 2 years I've been gaining my chartered accountancy. So now I'm a CA, and it's sort of what next. So for me, I'd love to travel, and I want to find out more about myself, and I want to find out more about where I can go as an accountant. I've said that I enjoy that it helps people, so I would love to work for more charitable organisations, but that's just the beginning, and I don't know what's out there until I go and try it.
Fair enough. No, you were pretty handy at Irish dancing, I think, weren't you? We saw a bit of that last night, didn't we? And the standard was pretty high.
Thank you.
So how far did you go with that?
I started when I was 5 years old. Since probably the age of 2 or 3, I would watch Lord of the Dance or Riverdance most days, or any day that Mum could be bothered putting the tape in the VCR. And a family friend rang her and said, I'm taking my daughter to Irish dancing. Would Caitlin like to come? And Mum thought, well, I better take her if that's how much she loves Lord of the Dance. So I started with the Kane sisters in Invercargill, and shortly Sheila K. Hallisey took over, and then eventually the O'Neill School was my main school that I danced for. We were pretty lucky that our teachers travelled from Christchurch once a week, which it's such a huge commitment to do that. We couldn't have done it without the Invercargill Irish Society or the Invercargill Licensing Trust, and Irish dancing was just my life. It was such a lovely way to spend time with my mum, and I made so many great friends, and it just made me tear up watching the Connolly dances tonight, because that was me, and that's how I grew up. I was the entertainment at the Rose of Tralee. So I eventually was in a lot of national championships, and I finished on a high, and I qualified for the Worlds, and that was a real high for me.
There you go. That's not bad, is it? So let's change gears now. It's okay. Jacinda Ardern and the Taoiseach of Ireland have a huge following. What do you think they have in common?
They're both very young, and they're both so progressive. Jacinda Ardern she's a working mum, which I think is fantastic. She has a baby, and she's about to get married, and she's got a life outside of politics that is quite new to us, and I think it's very refreshing. Female leaders have traditionally been strong, not that Jacinda isn't, but they've been strong and hard, and they've been criticised if they've shown emotion. And Jacinda's not afraid to show emotion. She said that just because she's compassionate and caring and kind doesn't mean that she's not strong. And so she's been very progressive with her response to the tragedy in Christchurch, and she's not afraid to get out there and do what's right. And in comparison, in Ireland, the Prime Minister, he's quite young and he's gay, and he took his partner to meet some American leaders that are quite opposite of that view, which is pretty amazing, really. And he's in support of all of the great things that I think Ireland are going through with gay marriage and the abortion laws, and they're sparking conversation, and I think that's what we need, and that's why the two of them are so great. Is the things that they're passionate about in their countries, they're hard topics. Everybody's a bit afraid to touch the heavy things, but they're not afraid to do it because they know that if they don't, there's not going to be change. And it's a refreshing and it's a unique style of leadership, and it's the kind of leadership that I aspire to be like. That's inclusive, it's diverse, and I think it's something that we can all take something from.
So if you're over there in Ireland, how would you best describe New Zealand culture? All of it. Not just the sort of music and the dance, but who we are and our culture.
That's a good question. It's hard to sum it up, isn't it? Oh, look, we're not afraid of hard yakka. I think that's a big part of it. We're not afraid. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we're just pleased to be here, really. and that's what I think is cool, And I think it's cool that other countries are so passionate and they're patriotic, and we are too. But I just love how casual we are about it.
Very good. Now, going back to your first answer was really interesting. I think the audience grabbed a hold of that. Should the Rose of Tralee be opened up? I mean, would I see here in a few more years a transgender person standing here? What's your view?
I believe that is already, I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but someone did tell me that they are allowing transgender women to enter. I mean, yeah, that's a tough question. I think that we have come so far, and the best thing about the Rose of Tralee is its relevance, and it keeps its tradition of, its relation to the song, and it keeps its tradition of women, and I think that's how it should stay. And it's opened up that women who have children are now allowed to enter, and I think that the world is moving in that direction where it's something that we have to be considerate of, is people's identification as women or men. And so, to be honest, if you identify as an Irish woman, then certainly, if you meet the other criteria that they require, then why not?
So second to last question.
Yes?
Rugby World Cup, go on.
Dad's looking at me. Oh, well, I mean, if Ireland won, wouldn't that be a great story, sort of the underdog, but I mean... but I've lived in New Zealand my whole life. All Blacks.
And my final question, you all answer this, is if you were selected to represent us in Tralee, what would that mean for you?
I've never travelled before. I've never left New Zealand, not even to Australia. So firstly, I'd get to go on a big plane. I can totally resonate with our other roses though. You know, little me, so proud. But yeah, the ability to go to Ireland first before any other country after New Zealand would just be an honour, and it would be so great to see where my family has come from, particularly after reading our family book. And after my history with Irish dancing and being the entertainment and now becoming a rose, it's unimaginable, and it would be a dream come true.
Ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin Mahon, all the way